Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be learning about types of characters. And you're going to be doing a few activities today with this. But first, I want to go over with you what you're going to be doing. You will see that on today's assignment, 928 types of character notes. One slide is for you to complete notes, which is this first one. The other one is the actual slide for where you're going to take your notes from. So if I go ahead and pull these up, this one here is your actual notes. This is what you will submit and turn in just for participation. So you will notice on the slides that I go over in this video that there's words that are underlined on each slide. Those words that are underlined, you need to put into these text boxes to complete the notes. These are what you would call skeleton notes, where you don't have to type or write the entire note down. So you will do that for every single one. You will notice there's also some built-in activities after watching some of the videos that you will do, that you will also do for points as well. So those are your notes that you will make sure that you submit and turn in. If I go back to the actual notes, I'm going to go ahead and go over those with you. Present my screen. So again, we're learning about types of characters. There's all types of characters that we're going to be focusing on this week. So the first we have is our protagonist. This is also going to be one of our Wordy Wednesday words. So protagonist is usually the good guy in a story. Usually the most important character in your story or play or novel. Not always the good guy, but usually they are. Then we have your antagonist, which is the opposite. It's usually the bad guy or the villain. It's usually the character who is working against the hero in the story. Now, this doesn't necessarily always have to be an actual person. This could be a sickness. This could be like a tornado, something along those lines that's going against the main character. Then we have central character or major character is another word for this. So this is the character that the story revolves around. Usually they are the protagonist, the main character in our story that the entire movie or novel or story revolves around. Then we have minor characters. These are our less important characters. They help the audience learn about the main character. So these are characters who, you'll watch a video from Toy Story where there's a few minor characters that also help build the story, but they're not super important. The story would still go on without them. So again, like I said, you'll watch this video in Toy Story 3 to give you an example of some minor characters that maybe you didn't realize were minor characters. Maybe you thought they were major characters that would be in a story. So then you're going to watch The Wizard of Oz. Again, you have this chart and this table on your note slides. You're going to identify these characters, and there's a table there for you. The protagonist or central character. Again, those are pretty much the same throughout the story. Antagonist would be like the bad guy, the villain, the person who's going against the main character. And then some of your minor characters. So this would be all your other characters who don't have a huge speaking role in the story, but they still add to it. Next, we have dynamic character. I always like to tell students this is like a dynamite character. So think about if you have dynamite and you put it somewhere in a building, in a vehicle or something. Hopefully none of you actually do that. But it would blow that thing up or that building up, and it would completely change it. So think about this. A dynamic character is a character that changes. Think of dynamite. It changes, okay? So dynamic, dynamite, they change. So here's an example from The Grinch, and you'll watch this video and see how The Grinch changes from the very beginning of the movie to the end. We will read a play this year, A Christmas Carol. So in our story, Scrooge is a dynamic character because he changes from the very beginning of the play to the very end. Then we have static characters. So this is the opposite. So literally this is a character who stays the same. They do not change at all. So they stay the same throughout the story. So here's an example from Ice Age. You have the little squirrel there. He does not change throughout the story. He's still this goofy character. We don't know a whole lot about him, but he stays the same throughout every single one of those movies that he's present in. Then we have round character. So very much like usually a round character is very much your dynamic character, your protagonist. Some of these kind of all fall under one category. This is, again, usually the main character like Gru. It's a character we know a lot about and often changes throughout the story. So if you've ever watched Despicable stories or movies, you know that Gru does change from this villain, this big bad guy, to being this loving father, and he kind of helps out get rid of the bad guys. So he's a round character, he's a dynamic character. So I like to tell students that I had a great aunt who was very round. She had a big personality. So there's a lot to her. So I think of like round, there's a lot to them. We know a lot about them. They have big personalities. We know a lot about them. So I like to think of round that way to kind of help me remember what it means. Then we go to a flat character. This is a character we do not know a lot about. Think of if they're flat, there's not much to them, right? Think of like Flat Stanley. There's not much to him, right? So this is a character we don't know a whole lot about in the story. An example would be from Finding Nemo, Bruce the shark. We don't know a lot about him. He's in a small part of this story. We don't know a lot about him. He does not change. He stays the same. So a lot of times flat, minor, and static characters all kind of go together. Then we have characterization, which we're going to be doing an activity this week on this. So it's the way an author presents details about a character. How do we learn about that character? How do we learn what they are like? So two ways, we have direct characterization and indirect. Direct is the easiest one because this is where the author directly tells you. They just come out and tell you, hey, this person is this way. For example, Floppy is an adorable bunny with blue fur and a friendly grin. This is the author telling you exactly what that bunny is like. So that's what happens in stories sometimes. But as you get older, this does not usually tend to happen this way. An author will usually do indirect characterization where you actually have to think a little bit. So this is when the narrator shows you details about a character to help you figure out what kind of person or character they are. They might tell you this through their thoughts, through their appearance and what they look like, through their actions. They'll tell us about what their actions or what they do, which then you kind of create, oh, because they did that, I can now figure out what kind of person they are through the things that they say. And even, I know it's not up there, but a lot of times we learn a lot about a character by what other characters say about them. That kind of also goes with junior high students. We learn about you all through the things that you say in the hallway, how you act in class or in the hallway or with your friends. And we also learn about you all based on what we hear other people say about you. So this also happens in real life where we learn about people based on their words, their actions, their appearance, and their thoughts, as well as what other people say. So after you've taken those notes, the next activity we will have is where you're going to actually take this Kami assignment, character types, okay, and you're going to open it up through Kami. And once it is up, you'll be able to type right into it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our classwork and just show you through here. So what you are going to do is there's different character types. You have major characters, minor characters, the protagonist, antagonist, dynamic, static, round, and flat characters. So far from our story Among the Hidden, what you're going to do is just type in one or two examples for each of these. I want at least one example in each of these boxes. So total points of 8. Okay. Sometimes some characters will fit into more than one box. We just said a lot of times your major character is also your protagonist, is also your dynamic character because we know a lot about them. And they're usually your round character. So you might have one character that is the same in all of these. You might have some other characters who might also fit into major characters, not just our main character in our story. So again, you're going to go back through our story, the chapters that we've read so far, up to chapter 16, which we're over halfway through the book after your reading today, and you're going to go ahead and put some characters' names in each of these boxes. Once you're done, you need to make sure you turn it in through Kami, and that'll be worth some points for today's activity. Again, if you have any questions, go back to your notes. Okay, the ones that you filled in and the ones that I provide for you. If you forget what a flat character is, or if you forget what a round character is, go back to those notes and look. If you're still confused or you still need some help on figuring it out, please let me know and I will be there to help you.